Lisa Martinez stood in front of Lincoln High School and felt her stomach twist. She had faced down alien war machines without blinking. She had commanded troops through impossible battles across 12 different star systems. But this red brick building with its cracked sidewalks and faded paint made her hands shake. The yellow school bus pulled away behind her, leaving a cloud of black smoke that made her cough. 3 years ago, she would have been checking the air for toxins. Now she just waved her hand to clear it and walked toward the main entrance. Students pushed past her, talking loud and laughing. They carried bright backpacks and wore clothes she did not understand. Some had holes in their pants that looked like battle damage but were clearly meant to be there. Others wore shirts with words and pictures that made no sense to her. Lisa checked her watch. 07:45 hours. Classes started at 800 hours, but she had arrived early out of habit. In the military, being on time meant being late. Here, it seemed to mean being alone in hallways that smelled like floor cleaner and teenage sweat. She pulled out the paper her Aunt Kate had given her. Locker number 212. Combination 27-15-32. She had memorized it perfectly, like every other piece of intel that might keep her alive. But lockers were not enemy positions, and this was not a war zone. The hallway stretched ahead of her like a canyon between metal doors. Numbers painted in blue marked each locker. 208, 210, 212. She stopped and stared at the small metal box that was supposed to hold her belongings for the next year. Lisa spun the combination lock right to 27, left to 15, right to 32. She pulled down on the handle. Nothing happened. She tried again, moving slower this time. The lock stayed closed. Behind her, footsteps approached. She turned to see a tall boy with messy brown hair and a football jersey. His name tag read Jake Peterson, but she could tell from his walk that he thought he owned this place. "Having trouble there, new girl?" Jake asked. His voice carried the same tone drill sergeants used when they wanted to make someone feel small. "The mechanism appears to be defective," Lisa said. She kept her voice level and professional. Jake laughed. "Mechanism? Who talks like that?" He reached past her and grabbed the lock. "You gotta hit it first, then spin. These old things are garbage." He banged the lock with his fist, then spun the dial. The locker opened with a screech of old metal. Jake stepped back and crossed his arms, waiting for her to thank him. Lisa studied the open locker. Intelligence gathered. The equipment was old and required percussive maintenance. She would remember that for future operations. "Thanks," she said. "No problem, I'm Jake. You must be the weird girl who moved in with crazy Kate Martinez." Lisa felt her muscles tense. In the war, calling someone's family crazy was fighting words. Here, she was not sure what the rules were. "Kate Martinez is my aunt," Lisa said carefully. "Yeah. Everyone knows she used to work for some government thing. Real paranoid type, has cameras all over her house and everything." Jake leaned against the locker next to hers. "So what's your story? Why did you move here from wherever?" Lisa had practiced this answer with Kate for weeks. Keep it simple. Keep it boring. Do not mention the war. "My parents died in an accident. I came to live with family." Jake's expression softened a little. "Oh, that sucks. Sorry." The hallway filled with more students as the start time approached. Lisa watched them move in groups, following social patterns she did not understand. Some walked with confidence, claiming territory. Others kept their heads down, avoiding eye contact. It reminded her of pack behavior she had studied in alien species, but these were supposed to be her own people. "So what classes do you have?" Jake asked. Lisa pulled out her schedule. "First period, Mrs. Coleman. American History, room 104. "Cool. I'll walk you there. Coleman's okay if you don't fall asleep. She talks a lot about old wars and stuff. Probably right up your alley since you talk like a textbook." They walked through hallways that seemed designed to confuse intruders. Lisa memorized the route automatically, counting steps and noting exit points. The school had 3 main corridors, multiple stairwells, and what looked like emergency exits at regular intervals. Good defensive position if you controlled the high ground, but too many entry points to secure properly. Jake kept talking as they walked. "So Lincoln's not that bad once you know the rules. Stay away from the north bathroom on 2nd floor. That's where the stoners hang out." Don't sit at the senior table in the cafeteria unless you want trouble. And whatever you do, do not get on Coach Martinez's bad side. He makes everyone run extra laps when he's mad." "Martinez?" Lisa asked. "Yeah, he's probably related to your aunt or something. This town's full of Martinez families. He coaches football and teaches gym. Total hard case, used to be in the army or something." They reached room 104 just as the bell rang. Students rushed past them to get to their seats before the final bell. Jake patted her shoulder like they were old friends. "See you around, new girl. Try not to be too weird on your first day." He jogged away toward his own class, leaving Lisa standing in the doorway. She took a deep breath and walked into her first civilian classroom in 3 years. Mrs. Coleman was already at the front of the room writing something on an old whiteboard. She was older than Lisa expected, with gray hair and reading glasses that hung from a chain around her neck. She looked up as Lisa entered. "You must be Lisa Martinez. Welcome to American history. Please take any open seat." Lisa scanned the room, like she was checking for threats. 28 students, all facing forward. Multiple windows on the east wall, one door behind her, another at the front near the teacher's desk. She chose a seat in the back corner where she could see the whole room and both exits. The other students stared at her as she sat down. She stared back until they looked away. Old habits were hard to break. Mrs. Coleman finished writing on the board and turned to face the class. "Today we begin our unit on American military history. We'll start with the Revolutionary War and work our way through to modern conflicts." Lisa felt her chest tighten. Of all the classes to start with, it had to be military history. She knew things about modern conflicts that would not be in any textbook for another 50 years. She knew them because she had lived them. "Can anyone tell me what they think makes American military forces different from other armies throughout history?" Hands shot up around the room. Students called out answers about technology, training, and leadership. Lisa stayed quiet and listened. To them, guess at things she knew were completely wrong. Mrs. Coleman nodded at each answer. "Good thoughts. But I think the real difference is adaptability. American forces have always been good at changing their tactics when the situation changes. They learn from their mistakes and find new ways to solve problems." Lisa almost smiled at that. If only Mrs. Coleman knew how right she was. The bell rang, ending first period. Students gathered their books and headed for the door. Lisa stayed, in her seat, watching them go. In 6 hours, she would be home with Kate, trying to explain how her first day went. She had survived her first class. Only 7 more periods to go, and then she could start counting down the days until this was all over. But as she walked toward her next class, Lisa realized something that made her stop in the middle of the hallway. For the first time in 3 years, no one was shooting at her. No one was trying to kill her. No one was depending on her to make life or death decisions. Maybe, just maybe, that was not such a bad thing. Lisa's alarm clock buzzed at 0500 hours, just like every morning for the past 3 years. She rolled out of bed, hit the floor, and started her push-ups. 50 perfect repetitions, followed by sit-ups, jumping jacks, and a 5-mile run around the neighborhood. By 0630, she was back in her room, showered and dressed in clothes that still felt like a costume. Jeans and a plain blue shirt instead of combat gear. Regular sneakers instead of tactical boots. She looked in the mirror and saw someone she barely recognized. Downstairs, her Aunt Kate was making coffee in a kitchen that smelled like pancakes and normal life. Kate looked up when Lisa walked in, carrying her school bag like military equipment. "You're up early again," Kate said. "Most kids your age sleep until the last possible minute." "Routine keeps you alive," Lisa said. She poured herself orange juice and sat down at the table. Kate sat across from her with her coffee. "How was your first week?" Lisa thought about it. 5 days of high school had taught her more about human behavior than 3 years of war. Students moved in packs based on invisible rules. They fought battles over things that did not matter. They formed alliances that changed every day. "Different," Lisa said. "Different how?" "They waste a lot of time, and energy, and resources." Kate laughed. "They're teenagers, Lisa. Wasting time is what they do. It's how they figure out who they are." Lisa did not understand that. She had always known who she was. A soldier, a leader, someone who got things done. Now she was supposed to be a student, and she had no idea what that meant. At school, Lisa walked to her locker and found Jake Peterson waiting for her. He had been doing this all week, appearing whenever she needed help with something. She was not sure why. "Morning, Martinez," he said. "Ready for Coleman's pop quiz?" "Pop quiz?" "Yeah, she does them every Friday. Random questions about whatever. We covered that week. Most people fail them." Lisa nodded. She had read the entire textbook on her first day and memorized every important fact. Pop quizzes did not worry her. In Mrs. Coleman's class, Lisa sat in her usual seat in the back corner. The other students looked nervous as Mrs. Coleman handed out the quiz papers. Lisa read through the questions quickly. They were all about World War II, a conflict she had studied extensively during her military training. She finished the quiz in 10 minutes and spent the rest of the time watching her classmates struggle. Some of them were clearly guessing. Others stared at the ceiling like the answers might appear there. A few had given up completely and were drawing pictures in the margins. When class ended, Mrs. Coleman collected the papers. "I'll have these, graded by Monday. Have a good weekend, everyone." The students filed out, but Mrs. Coleman called Lisa back. "Lisa, could I speak with you for a moment?" Lisa approached the teacher's desk, wondering if she had done something wrong. Mrs. Coleman looked at her quiz paper, then looked at Lisa. "This is remarkable work," Mrs. Coleman said. "Your answers are more detailed than what's in the textbook. Where did you learn so much about military strategy?" Lisa felt her chest tighten. She had been too thorough, revealed too much knowledge. In the field, that kind of mistake could get people killed. "I read a lot," she said. "What kind of books?" "Military history, strategy, tactical analysis." Mrs. Coleman raised her eyebrows. "That's unusual reading for someone your age. Most of my students can barely get through the assigned chapters." Lisa did not know what to say to that. She stood quietly, waiting for Mrs. Coleman to dismiss her. "I have a proposition for you," Mrs. Coleman said. "I'm starting an after-school study group for students who want to go deeper into military history. Would you be interested in helping me lead it?" The idea of teaching other students made Lisa uncomfortable. Teaching meant responsibility, and responsibility meant people depending on her. She had come to high school to get away from that. "I'll think about it," Lisa said. After school, Lisa walked to the library to wait for her aunt to pick her up. The building was old and quiet, filled with books that smelled like dust and forgotten knowledge. She found a table in the corner and pulled out her homework. "Excuse me, are you Lisa?" Lisa looked up to see a small girl with dark hair and thick glasses. She was carrying a laptop bag and looked nervous. "Yes," Lisa said. "I'm Katie Wilson. I sit behind you in math class." Katie shifted her weight from one foot to the other. "I was wondering if you could help me with something." Lisa gestured to the empty chair across from her. Katie sat down and opened her laptop. "I'm working on this computer program for the science fair, but I can't get the algorithm right. Jake Peterson said you were really smart, so I thought maybe you could look at it." Lisa stared at the code on Katie's screen. It was trying to model population dynamics, but the math was wrong in several places. In the military, she had worked with programmers who built tactical simulation software. The principles were the same. "Your growth rate calculation is off," Lisa said, "and you need to account for resource limitations." She spent the next hour helping Katie fix her code. Katie was smart, but she thought in straight lines. Lisa showed her how to think around problems, how to plan for variables that might change everything. "Wow," Katie said when they finished. "This is so much better. How did you know how to do that?" "Pattern recognition," Lisa said. "Same principles apply to different situations." Katie saved her work and closed the laptop. "Thanks, I owe you one." As Katie walked away, Lisa realized something had changed. For the first time since arriving at Lincoln High, she had felt useful. Not like a soldier pretending to be a student, but like someone who could help. The weekend passed slowly. Lisa helped her aunt with yard work and grocery shopping. She read 3 books and organized her room twice. She did push-ups and sit-ups, and ran until her legs hurt. On Sunday evening, Kate found her sitting on the porch staring at nothing. "You look restless," Kate said. "I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here," Lisa said. Kate sat down beside her. "What do you mean?" "In the military, everything had a purpose. Every mission, every training exercise, every order. Here, nothing seems to matter. Kids waste time worrying about clothes and parties and who likes who. They don't understand how good they have it." Kate was quiet for a long moment. "Maybe that's the point," she said finally. "What do you mean? You fought so they could waste time on stupid things. So they could worry about clothes instead of survival. So they could be kids instead of soldiers." Lisa thought about that. She had never considered her service in those terms before. She had fought to win battles, to complete missions, to protect her unit. She had not thought about protecting the right to be ordinary. "But what am I supposed to do now?" Lisa asked. "Learn how to be ordinary too," Kate said. "Learn how to waste time and worry about stupid things. Learn how to be 19 years old." That night, Lisa lay in bed thinking about Katie's computer, program, and Mrs. Coleman's study group. Maybe there was a way to be useful without being a soldier. Maybe there was a way to lead without commanding. She was still thinking about it when she fell asleep, and for the first time in months, she did not dream about the war. The first sign of trouble came during third period on a Tuesday. Lisa was sitting in chemistry class when she felt the vibration through the floor. It was subtle, like a heavy truck passing by, but wrong somehow. The frequency was too regular, too mechanical. She looked up from her textbook and scanned the room. None of the other students had noticed anything. They were still bent over their worksheets, calculating molecular weights and balancing equations. Even Mr. Peterson, the chemistry teacher, continued writing formulas on the whiteboard. Lisa felt the vibration again. 3 short pulses, then a longer one. It was a pattern she recognized from her military training. Engine signatures. Something big was moving outside, something that did not belong in a small Ohio town. She raised her hand. "Mr. Peterson, may I use the restroom?" He nodded without looking up from the board. Lisa grabbed the hall pass and walked quickly to the door. Once in the hallway, she moved to the nearest window and looked out at the parking lot. 3 black vehicles sat where the school buses usually parked. They looked like armored personnel carriers, but sleeker, more advanced, the kind of technology she had seen in classified briefings about enemy equipment. Lisa's heart started beating faster. She recognized those vehicles, Zephyrian scout ships, disguised to look like human military transports. The aliens had found her. She needed to get to a phone and contact her handler, but first she had to make sure the school was safe. Lisa walked quickly toward the main office, trying to look casual while her mind raced through tactical assessments. The office was empty except for Mrs. Davis, the secretary, who was typing at her computer. Lisa approached her desk. "Excuse me, Mrs. Davis, are we expecting any military visitors today?" Mrs. Davis looked up with a confused expression. "Military visitors?" "No, dear. Why do you ask?" "There are some unusual vehicles in the parking lot. I was just curious." Mrs. Davis frowned and looked toward the window. "I don't see anything unusual, just the normal cars and trucks." Lisa looked where Mrs. Davis was pointing. The parking lot looked completely normal. Cars, trucks, a few motorcycles. No sign of the alien vehicles she had seen moments before. She blinked hard and looked again. Still nothing. "Are you feeling all right, dear?" Mrs. Davis asked. "You look a little pale." Lisa forced herself to smile. "I'm fine, just thought I saw something, thanks." She walked back toward chemistry class but stopped at the water fountain to think. Either the aliens had cloaking technology she did not know about, or she was seeing things that were not there. Both possibilities worried her. The rest of the day passed without incident, but Lisa remained alert. She watched the windows during every class, looking for signs of alien activity. She mapped escape routes and counted potential weapons in each room. She evaluated her classmates as possible allies or liabilities in a combat situation. By lunchtime, she was exhausted from the constant vigilance. She sat at her usual table in the cafeteria, picking at a sandwich while scanning the room for threats. Katie Wilson sat down across from her with a tray of food. "You look terrible," Are you sick? I'm fine, Lisa said automatically. You don't look fine. You look like someone who hasn't slept in days. Katie opened her milk carton and studied Lisa's face. What's wrong? Lisa wanted to tell her about the alien vehicles, about the danger they might all be in. But she could not explain without revealing who she really was. And she was not even sure what she had seen was real. Just tired, Lisa said. Katie did not look convinced, but she did not push the issue. They ate in silence while the cafeteria buzzed with normal teenage conversation around them. After lunch, Lisa went to her locker to get her books for English class. As she spun the combination lock, she felt someone watching her. She turned to see 3 students she did not recognize standing near the far wall. They were dressed like regular high school kids, but something about them was wrong. They moved, too smoothly, too precisely. Their eyes tracked her movements with the kind of focus she had seen in trained soldiers, and when she looked directly at them, they did not look away like normal people would. They stared back with cold, calculating expressions. Lisa closed her locker and walked toward English class. The 3 students followed her, staying exactly 30 feet behind. They matched her pace perfectly, speeding up when she sped up, slowing down when she slowed down. In English class, Lisa chose a seat near the back where she could see the door. The 3 students entered the room and sat in the front row, but she could feel them watching her throughout the lesson. Mrs. Clark was discussing symbolism in literature, but Lisa could not concentrate on the words. Her military training was screaming warnings at her. These were not normal students. They were operatives of some kind, and they were targeting her. When the bell rang, Lisa stayed in her seat until the room emptied. The 3 students left with everyone else, but she knew they would be waiting in the hallway. She needed help, but she did not know who to trust. Her Aunt Kate was too far away, and she could not contact her military handlers without revealing her location to whoever was watching her. Lisa thought about Katie Wilson. The girl was smart, observant, and had no reason to be involved in whatever was happening. She might be the only person at the school who could help without asking too many questions. Lisa found Katie at her locker after school. I need your help. With something, she said quietly. Katie looked up from her books. What kind of help? I think someone is following me. 3 people I don't recognize. They've been watching me all day. Katie's expression grew serious. Are you sure? I'm sure. I need you to help me figure out who they are and what they want. Katie closed her locker and looked around the hallway. Where are they now? Lisa scanned the area. The 3 students were nowhere to be seen, but she could feel their presence like a weight on her shoulders. They're here somewhere. They're good at staying hidden. Katie pulled out her phone. I can help you, but you have to tell me the truth about something first. What? Who are you really? And don't say you're just a regular student who moved here to live with her aunt. I've seen how you move, how you think, how you solve problems. You're not like other people our age. Lisa felt trapped between 2 impossible choices. She could tell Katie the truth and risk exposing her identity to potential enemies, or she could lie and lose the only ally she had found. The decision was made for her when the fire alarm started blaring throughout the school. Students began filing out of classrooms and heading toward the exits, following the evacuation procedures they had practiced dozens of times. But Lisa knew this was not a drill. The timing was too convenient, and the 3 students had disappeared right before it started. Someone was forcing everyone out of the building, and she had a feeling she knew why. She grabbed Katie's arm. We need to get out of here, now. It's just a fire drill, Katie said. No, it's not, trust me. They joined the stream of students heading toward the main exit. Lisa kept her head down and tried to blend in, but she could feel eyes on her from somewhere in the crowd. As they reached the parking lot, Lisa saw the black vehicles again. This time they were real, solid, and surrounded by armed figures in tactical gear. They were not trying to hide anymore. The trap was closing, and Lisa was running out of time to decide who she really was. A student trying to hide from her past or a soldier ready to fight for her future. Lisa pulled Katie away from the main crowd of students streaming toward the parking lot. They needed to find cover before the situation got worse. She spotted a maintenance shed behind the gymnasium and pointed toward it. "This way," Lisa said. "Wait, we're supposed to go to the assembly point," Katie protested. "It's the rules." "The rules don't matter right now, those aren't firefighters." Katie looked toward the black vehicles and saw armed figures moving between them. Their movements were too coordinated, too military. Her face went pale. "Oh my God. What's happening?" Lisa grabbed Katie's hand and ran toward the shed. Behind them, she could hear shouting as the armed figures began separating students into groups. They were looking for someone specific, and Lisa knew it was her. The maintenance shed was unlocked. Lisa pushed Katie inside and closed the door behind them. The small space smelled like gasoline and old tools. Sunlight filtered through a dirty window, casting shadows across their faces. "Lisa, you need to tell me what's going on," Katie whispered. "Right now." Lisa looked at her friend's frightened face and made her decision. Katie deserved to know the truth, especially if it meant saving her life. "My name is Captain Lisa Martinez. I'm 19 years old and I spent 3 years fighting in an interstellar war against an alien species called the Zephyrians. We won the war 6 months ago, but some of them escaped. They're here now, and they're looking for me." Katie stared at her in silence for a long moment. Lisa waited for disbelief, for laughter, for Katie to think she was crazy. Instead, Katie nodded, slowly. "That makes sense." "It does? It explains everything. Why you know so much about strategy and computers, why you move like a soldier, why you always sit where you can see all the exits." Katie peered through the window at the chaos outside. "So those are aliens out there?" "Yes. They're using human disguises and Earth technology, but they're Zephyrian scouts. They probably tracked me here somehow." "What do they want?" "Revenge. I was responsible for several major victories against them. If they kill me, it sends a message to other human military leaders." Katie was quiet for a moment, processing everything. Then she surprised Lisa by pulling out her phone. "What are you doing?" Lisa asked. "Calling for help. If these are really alien invaders, we need the military or the FBI or someone." Lisa shook her head. "It won't work. By the time anyone gets here, they'll be gone. And they'll have taken me with them. So what do we do?" Lisa looked around the shed. Garden tools, a lawnmower, some old paint cans, not much in the way of weapons, but she had worked with less before. "We fight back." "We? I don't know how to fight aliens." "You don't have to fight them, but I need your help to save the other students." Through the window, Lisa could see the Zephyrians had set up some kind of scanning device. Students were being forced to walk past it one by one. It was probably reading biometric data, looking for her specific identity markers. "They're scanning everyone," Lisa said. "When they don't find me in the crowd, they'll start searching the buildings. How long do we have?" Lisa counted the students in line and estimated the scanning rate. "Maybe 10 minutes. Katie looked around the shed with new eyes. "What do you need me to do?" "First, I need you to help me send a message to my people. Then we're going to cause a distraction that gives everyone a chance to escape." Lisa found an old radio among the tools and started taking it apart. Her fingers moved quickly, rewiring circuits and adjusting frequencies. Katie watched in fascination as the simple radio transformed into something that looked much more complex. "Military communication device," Lisa explained. "I'm setting it to broadcast on emergency frequencies." She finished the modifications and powered it on. Static filled the air, then cleared as she found the right channel. "This is Captain Martinez, service number 774 Alpha Niner. I have Zephyrian hostiles at my location. Request immediate extraction, coordinates follow." She rattled off the school's location in military code, then shut off the radio. "Will someone answer?" Katie asked. "Maybe, but we can't wait to find out." Lisa moved to the window and studied the aliens' positions. 3 vehicles, approximately 15 hostiles, scanning equipment, and what looked like energy weapons. The students were grouped in the center of the parking lot with no cover. "Here's what we're going to do," Lisa said. "See that fire alarm panel on the side of the gym? If you can get to it and pull the alarm again, It will activate the sprinkler system throughout the school. Why do we want that? Water and alien electronics don't mix well. Their scanning equipment will malfunction, and their disguise projectors will short out. Everyone will see what they really look like. Katie nodded. What will you be doing? Lisa picked up a crowbar from the tool rack. Creating a bigger distraction. They left the shed together, moving carefully to stay out of sight. Katie headed toward the gym while Lisa worked her way around toward the parking lot. The lawnmower in the shed had given her an idea. She doubled back and wheeled it out, checking the fuel level. Half full. Enough for what she needed. Lisa positioned the mower behind one of the alien vehicles and jammed the throttle control to maximum. Then she lit a rag with her pocket lighter and stuffed it into the fuel tank. The explosion knocked her backward and sent debris flying across the parking lot. The alien scanning device sparked and died. Their leader, who had been disguised as a human soldier, spun around to locate the source of the attack. That was when Katie triggered the fire alarms. Water began spraying from every sprinkler head in the school. The aliens' holographic disguises flickered and failed, revealing their true forms: gray skin, large dark eyes, and elongated limbs. Several students screamed when they saw what had been standing among them, but the fear only lasted a moment. These were American teenagers, and they did not like being threatened. When the aliens raised their weapons, the students did not run. They fought back. Jake Peterson grabbed a fire extinguisher and sprayed it at the nearest alien. Other students picked up rocks from the landscaping and threw them with surprising accuracy. The school's football team formed a protective line in front of the younger kids. Lisa smiled as she watched her classmates work together. They might not be trained soldiers, but they had something the aliens did not expect. They had each other. The alien leader spotted Lisa across the parking lot and raised what looked like an energy rifle. Lisa dove behind a car as the beam scorched the asphalt where she had been standing. It was time to stop hiding and start fighting back. She stood up, crowbar in hand, and walked toward the alien leader. Behind her, she could hear sirens in the distance. Her message had gotten through after all. "You want me?" she called out. "Come and get me." The alien aimed its weapon at her chest. Lisa smiled and kept walking forward. She was not a high school student anymore. She was Captain Lisa Martinez, and she had a war to finish. The alien leader aimed its energy weapon at Lisa's chest, but she kept walking forward without fear. She had faced worse odds than this and lived to tell about it. Behind her, she could hear her classmates fighting back against the other aliens, with whatever they could find. "Captain Martinez," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Commander Vex of the 7th Zephyrian Fleet. You destroyed my ship and killed my crew." Lisa stopped 10 feet away from the alien, still holding the crowbar. "Your crew was trying to destroy a civilian transport. I did my job, and now I will do mine." Commander Vex's finger moved toward the trigger. A fire extinguisher flew through the air and hit the alien in the head. Jake Peterson appeared beside Lisa, breathing hard and grinning. "Nobody shoots at students in my school," he said. Commander Vex stumbled but recovered quickly. It raised the weapon again, this time aiming at Jake. Lisa moved without thinking, diving forward and knocking Jake out of the way as the energy beam scorched the ground where he had been standing. Lisa rolled to her feet and swung the crowbar at the alien's weapon. Metal connected with alien technology in a shower of sparks. The energy rifle split in half and clattered to the ground. Commander Vex pulled out a smaller weapon, but Lisa was already moving. 3 years of combat training took over. She grabbed the alien's wrist, twisted until it dropped the weapon, then swept its legs and brought it crashing to the pavement. "Stay down," she ordered. The alien tried to get up, but Jake sat on its legs while Katie appeared with a roll of duct tape from the maintenance shed. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" Jake asked as they tied up the alien commander. "Military training," Lisa said. "I'll explain later." Around them, the battle was winding down. The other aliens had been overwhelmed by the sheer number of students fighting back. Some were tied up with jump ropes from the gym. Others were being held down by members of the wrestling team. The football players had formed a perimeter to make sure none of them escaped. Mrs. Coleman appeared at Lisa's side, looking stunned. "Lisa, what's happening here?" Those things, they're not human. No, ma'am. They're Zephyrian soldiers. Enemy combatants from the war. What war? What are you talking about? Before Lisa could answer, military helicopters appeared over the school. Soldiers rappelled down ropes and secured the area with professional efficiency. Lisa recognized the uniforms and insignia of the Human Defense Force. A familiar figure approached her. Colonel Garcia, her former commanding officer, looked exactly the same as she remembered, tall, gray-haired, and completely unflappable. "Captain Martinez," he said. "Good work." "Thank you, sir. How did you find us so fast?" "We've been tracking these Zephyrian escapees for weeks. When we lost their signal, we figured they had found you." He looked around at the tied-up aliens and the students standing guard over them. "Looks like you handled the situation well." "Had help, sir." Colonel Garcia nodded toward Jake and Katie. "Civilian casualties?" "None, sir." "They fought back." The colonel raised an eyebrow. "Civilians fought Zephyrian soldiers and won?" "They're not just civilians, sir. They're Americans." Colonel Garcia smiled at that. "Fair point." Over the next hour, military personnel processed the captured aliens and took statements from witnesses. Lisa found herself in the strange position of translating between her two worlds. She explained to her teachers why she knew so much about military history. She told her classmates about the war they had never heard of and the threats they had never imagined. Principal Clark sat in his office trying to process what had happened to his school. "So you're telling me that Lisa is actually a decorated war hero who was sent here to complete her education?" "That's correct," Colonel Garcia said. "The Galactic Peace Treaty requires all human soldiers under 21 to finish their civilian schooling. Lisa was following orders. And these alien things were trying to kidnap her? Or kill her? Captain Martinez was responsible for several major victories against the Zephyrian Empire. She's considered a high-value target." Principal Clark looked at Lisa, who was sitting quietly in the corner. "Well, I suppose this explains why you always seemed more mature than your classmates." 2 weeks later, life at Lincoln High School had returned to something like normal. The story of the alien attack had been classified by the military, but the students who lived through it would never forget. Lisa sat in Mrs. Coleman's classroom, but now she was helping teach the military history unit. The other students listened, with genuine interest as she explained real battle tactics and strategy. There was no more need to hide what she knew. "The key to winning any conflict," Lisa told the class, "is not having the best weapons or the most soldiers. It's having people who will fight for each other." After class, Katie found Lisa at her locker. "So what happens now? Do you go back? To the military?" "Eventually. But I finish high school first, that's still my mission." "Good. We need you here." Lisa looked around at the familiar hallways that no longer felt like enemy territory. "I'm starting to think I need to be here too." "Jake." Peterson walked up to them carrying his football gear. "Martinez, you coming to the game Friday night?" "Maybe." "What position do they need?" Jake laughed. "I was thinking you could just sit in the stands like a normal person. But if you want to try out for the team, I'm sure Coach would love to have someone who can take down aliens." That afternoon, Lisa walked home with Katie and Jake, talking about homework and weekend plans and all the normal things that teenagers worried about. For the first time since arriving at Lincoln High, she felt like she belonged. At dinner, her Aunt Kate asked about her day. "Good," Lisa said. "I think I'm starting to understand what you meant about learning to be ordinary." And, Lisa thought, about her classmates fighting alongside her, about Jake protecting her and Katie helping her, about Mrs. Coleman trusting her to teach other students. "I think ordinary people are pretty extraordinary when they need to be." Kate smiled. "Now you're learning." That night, Lisa did her homework at the kitchen table while Kate graded papers from her own teaching job. Outside, it was quiet and peaceful. No alien threats, no military emergencies, just the sound of suburban life going on around them. Lisa looked at her math problems and realized she was actually enjoying them. They were puzzles to solve, challenges to overcome. Not so different from military planning, just with different stakes. Her phone buzzed with a text from Katie asking for help with her computer science project. Then Jake sent a message about study group for the upcoming history test. For the first time in her life, Lisa Martinez had friends who knew who she really was and wanted to spend time with her anyway. She had a place where she belonged and people who needed her. Maybe civilian life was not so bad after all.